Hi there, thanks for coming down and look at this video. This is a video as promised about the hydraulic return filter I installed on the Rhinoceros the XN08. This is the filter down here. I'm a bit reluctant to put in all the details of all the parts and pipe lengths and what have you, because these machines seem to vary a little bit, even in the same model. So, but I can actually go through the principles of the installation and what parts you're going to need to do it. So this is where my filter is. I've installed it on the right hand side because on this machine is an XN08 swing boom. My hydraulic tank is down here on the left hand side. That's the breather on the top. So I'm not sure what the XN08, the non-swing boom, looks like around here, but I should think you should be able to install it around about this area, or if not, some sort of bracketry over this area. Anyway, this is where I've installed it. So a couple of bits I had to move. The isolation, electrical isolation solenoid down here. It was on this side of this bracket and I've reversed it. It fits easily in there. And one of the main reasons the filter was put up here, ease of access. It would have been really nice to have tucked it in down there, but anybody who's done any hydraulic plumbing know the hoses are stiff as hell. It's not like wiring something up. It's you need plenty of room to maneuver, and the hoses, because you're getting them made in a fixed length, they're pretty prohibitive. You've got a little bit of movement, but you really, I say, it's not like doing plumbing in rubber hose or wiring. The hoses are steel reinforced, so there's not a lot of give or movement in them. So I put it up out here, still got enough room to get my hand down to check the oil. It's in good airflow here. I've got a pressure gauge on here, which is measuring the return line oil pressure, because I'm monitoring a couple of things, and I've actually installed a temperature sender, which is how I can check. I've got an oil temperature gauge on there, because if you've looked at my other videos, I'm monitoring oil temperature to see whether the machine actually does need an oil call or not. So as standard, what happens, the return line filter hose, or the return hose, is underneath this cowling underneath here. It's a straight connector. It's on this right hand side, and it runs down through underneath the cavity in the floor and comes round underneath and comes up to this place here. So there's a union there. It's sort of like a T. This one, the straight one here, is, I believe, is the drain for the swing motor, hydraulic motor, and this one with the 90-degree bend in is actually the return line. So this, if you look at this, looks exactly the same as if it were a standard machine without the return line filter. So I was hoping actually to be able to use that hose. So I disconnected it on both ends, threaded it back through, and brought it around this side, hoping to put it on here, but it was a little bit too short. So I had to put a new hose on this side. So there's a straight connector up the front end there, and we've got a 90-degree swivel on here, and then I had to make a new return hose. So there's a 90-degree swivel on here. I think they're M18 threads, and that comes, that comes onto here. So this hose from here goes around underneath on the floor down the bottom, and then comes back up to here. The filter unit, it was just from the usual suspect. There's a couple of people, companies online sell hydraulic stuff online, and this appears to be like a standard filter housing, if you like, and a spin-on oil filter on the bottom. And this was sort of about, I think it was the smallest I could get without shopping around too much. I think it's the filter house is capable of a 90 litre flow rate, I think the 10 micron filter has got a 60 litres per minute flow rate, this filter that's on it, and the pump, I believe, chucks out about 16.5 litres per minute, so there's plenty of flow rate through there. There's a bypass valve in here. I think it works around 27.5 psi, something like that. But what I'm finding is, I think that is this 27.5 psi, presuming, I think these are, I think they might be 3/4 or inch BSP even, and I think the restriction, because it's a fairly big filter for the flow rate, because it's reduced down to the pipe, this pipe here, and that fitting down there appears to be quite restrictive. When the oil is cold, it is running at about 3 bar. But thinking about it, I don't think the bypass comes into operation. Where it operates when there's a 3 bar differential, if you know what I mean. So the idea of the bypass, if the filter blocks up, which I should imagine it'd take ages for it to block up on this, the bypass bypasses the filter, so you still got oil flow. And actually, when the oil's got warm, it's running at about 1.5 bar. So I don't believe that is an issue. You can see I've fabricated my own bracket on here. I had to make one. I think it's 3 bits of angle iron, 25mm angle. It's just some cap screws here. Drill through this frame, which doesn't look chunky, but I think the steel is about 3mm thick, so that's worked out quite nicely. It's quite firm and stable, doesn't wobble about with the vibration. So I say it would have been nice to have tucked it really out the way, but you want to be able to drop this. If you ever want to take this filter off, you want to be able to drop this filter down and bring it around up, so you don't want to have to tip all the oil out of it. So it sits quite nicely in there, I think. I say you've got an oil sender here, so I'm monitoring oil temperature as well. So on the, presumably you can't get, I believe this sort of standard housing, you can see there's a couple of adapters on here. I can't remember for the life of me. I think it might have been inch BSP or 3, so I had to go from inch adapter down to a 3/8 BSP. And then this fitting actually had its own O-ring on its face for sealing, so I didn't need to use a Doughty seal. This adapter goes from 3/8, you can see in that bit in between that looks like a washer, that's a Doughty seal, to the M8, I think these are M18 by 1.5, the M18 fitting to fit this union on. So we've got 3 bits there, or 2 bits. We've got 1 adapter and 2 adapter, and then the actual fitting. So, and it's obviously the same the other side, because what I was trying to do was stick to the same hose diameters. So I've still got the old hose, so this machine could actually be taken back to as it was before, bar 2 holes being put in there. No problems, it works exactly the same as it's all. Can't see any difference in the machine at all, just the added security that you knowing that the filters, the oil's been filtered properly. A couple of little notes on this. I know I mentioned it in the other video. To take this cover off, you've got to take these, not those, these bolts out this cover here. You can see I've got a bolt missing out there. That is because this plastic panel here used to come all the way down. There's another bolt in there, and for the life of me I couldn't get it off. So with a multi-tool I cut this out here, because if you need to do any maintenance you need to get in here fairly easy. It's a bit of a squeeze because there's so many pipes in there, so I had to do that to get it off. And as I said, it's a straight in line fitting on the right hand side, the return line. While I was at it and while it was off, let's just drop the seat down without pinching the wire. Right, okay, so while it was off, I don't, if yours might be the same, there was the headlight or the work light switch was on here and I kept bumping it on, so that's been moved up to here with a lit switch. And the other thing I also did was put a horn on it, So you've got a little horn there, which is handy if you're loading. It's a fairly noisy machine, and just to warn people you're going to swing around and move or whatever. And I say the light switch on here, which here we are, it lights up, so even if you do bump it, you know the light's on. But actually the light is because I tend to leave the machine like this, I think water's got in the back of the light, so it's not working anyway. That's the oil temperature gauge. It's probably flashing to you on the video. It always comes up with 40. That seems to be the minimum. Minimum temperature it'll show, but when the machines are working, it's anywhere between 40 and 49 degrees. So that's been quite nice. But yeah, so I did those mods while the cover was off. So a fairly simple mod for peace of mind. Whether it's 100% necessary or not, I don't know. I reckon the filter and the filter housing were about £30. Actually, I made a mistake. I ordered the connectors, or too long a hose or too short a hose, can't remember now. So I ended up so I think the hose is the long hose from the front to the back, £20, £25, and I think the hose that went from the outside of the filter to the hydraulic oil tank was about 15 quid. So plus your adapters and all the rest of it, and making up a bracket, which is obviously you can knock that up at home yourself. You've got a welder. But I would say with the adapters and everything, I would say that the whole job was no more than 100 quid. So there we are. I hope that helps. I say reluctant to put exact sizes and size and fittings, because you might get machine might be slightly different, and you might get a slightly different filter housing with the so there we are. Okay, I hope that helps. Bye for now.